Hello, and welcome to Indie Encounter. My name is Sandra Laraine Coleman. The mission of our show is to give independent performers and artists access to as wide an audience as possible, and to give you, our viewers, a window into their art and their artistic process, what makes them tick as human beings, and why they have chosen their particular avenue to connect with the world. All art is about communication and connection. Let's meet today's indie artist, MsTmusze. Welcome, MsTmusze, to Indie Encounter.
Thank you for having me.
It's a blessing, trust me, to have you sitting in that chair across from me and have you share and express your gift. I would like to talk to you about how the process of writing and your creativity, how does that affect you and the world around you?
How does my process affect me?
Yes.
Sometimes it wakes me up first thing in the morning. Sometimes it distracts me from what I was supposed to be doing. And sometimes it keeps me up late at night. And then as far as how it affects the world around me, it does help me connect to people who may share the same ideas or might be thinking about the same themes that I'm working with in my work. And it also just helps me kind of make sense of what I'm observing in the world. And through responses that I get from people who listen to my work, they say the same thing, that it affects them by helping them to kind of look at some of the things that they're observing and name it. That's something that I've heard recently, that I've been thinking about all these things that you just said, and I'm so glad that you named it and called it out. And so, I think that's the best way I can respond to that.
Yeah, so you're the voice for people who may not be able to put what they're feeling or thinking into words.
In a way, I suppose. More just kind of a landmark or a reminder that we all have a voice, and that, we're thinking these things, but it's okay to open up our mouths and say it.
Good one. Good one, yes. And I definitely can appreciate being able to open up your mouth and express what you're feeling or thinking. How do you incorporate, because you're not just a spoken word artist, you're also a visual artist. So how do you incorporate other mediums into your poetry and spoken words, such as music and painting and those types of things?
My very first chapbook was one that I was able to compose all of the poems and then go back and look at them and illustrate them with some sketches. That was early in the game. Since then, I haven't really been doing that more so. It's been more of allowing the poetry to be music, because there's always been a lyrical element to my writing. And so I've been really focusing lately on merging the two of those to let the poems go ahead and develop into the musical notes and the sounds that make the songs, once they're done.
All right. When you start a poem, do you hear the song first, or do you get the poem and then the song comes after?
Oftentimes I will hear the music as I'm, hearing the words that go along with it. Some other times I might just write, just straight write, and then come back and look at the work if I'm working on a bit of music and say, oh, well, maybe these lyrics might go well over this music, and try to do it that way. But oftentimes the frequent way that happens, I'm getting tongue-tied.
It's okay.
What happens most often is that it will come out, I will hear the music and write along with the words.
Excellent. And I know that you are also one of the Leimert Park poets. And there was a compilation CD. How did that come about?
I had been reading poetry in Long Beach, where I've been living for the past, I don't want to say how many years. And then I found out, because one thing when you're a writer or when you're a poet and you start finding out like, oh, this goes on and people do this, and you start investigating to find out where it's happening. And I found out it was happening in Lamert, and so I started going there and reading my work, and a producer was in the audience at some of those shows, and sooner or later we wound up working on a live venue, a poetry venue together, and from that it morphed into a CD, and it just kind of happened really organically, you know, by following the interest that I had in poetry and connecting with other poets and artistic people in general.
Right, and organic seems to be a word that is connected now with spoken word and poetry. And how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? The word organic being related to spoken word.
I think it's great. I think that should be maybe the next word often that is associated with spoken word or poetry. It should be seen as something organic. I think a lot of the programs and things that are out now and the kind of energies around, you know, poetry and spoken word is great to like put it out there and make it accessible for a lot of people, but I am very much wanting the organic piece not to be lost in that, because it is like most art, all art even, you know, it should be allowed to flow, you know, in an organic way, so that I don't know, the most meaning is got out of it as far as how people can connect with the work and how they can connect the work to life. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And what would advice, like if anything, would you have to give, because everybody's voice is different?
Mm-hmm.
So if you could offer like some advice to artists, young artists, they don't have to be young, older, any artist,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say, what advice would you give them?
Speak, you know, whatever your medium is, and whatever vision you have, whatever thoughts you're thinking, whatever passion you have in you about any issue, any theme, any just desire to express, go ahead and speak.
Good,
Mm-hmm.
good. And what are some of the things that inspire you as a writer?
Human beings inspire me a lot, you know, just what it means to be human and what human beings are experiencing, what their dreams are, what their fantasies are, what their frustrations are, and then nature and you know, well, just all kinds of stuff. But I would have to say human beings first and foremost, because everything else kind of ties into that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. That's definitely a beautiful way to be inspired, is from human beings and all their flaws and faults, you know, because we are, like you said, connected to everything, and everything is connected to us. Now, as far as the spiritual aspect of poetry and spoken word, how do you connect with the spiritual and the ethereal and those types of things?
Oh, well, I mean, it could be, well, not argued. If anybody reads a lot of the texts that a lot of religions and faiths are based on, they're composed by poets.
Yes, they are.
And so it's kind of built in that I'm dealing with something spiritual here, because we're dealing with human beings. And when I say that, I'm not talking about just this flesh stuff, you know, I'm talking about us as we really are, and us as, I don't know, many of us yearn to really see that real, like, what is going on in here? Like, what's under this? And that's just definitely, you know, built in, I think, to poetry and any art, and just being here on this planet. You know, there's something spiritual, something more happening here, and that is something that I stay connected to, you know, whether I'm working on a piece or not, just breathing.
Right. Well, and having said that, I know you brought some work to share.
I did.
So we would like to have you bless the audience with your work at this time.
Okay. I'm going to read a couple pieces. The first one I'll read is Shambacks. We use real money to buy fake things. Pill-popped and prosthetically pumped erections, engagement rings and fantasy football tickets. We trade cold, hard cash for what's hot. Projected images of characters performed by people paid to pretend they're not pretending. We pay dollars and cents from the mint for counterfeit confidence, counseling sessions turned categorically archived celebrity blogs. We goggle a monster for jobs, give our time and work real hard for those certain tangible palm-sized pieces of paper. Then we run straight for fraudulent claims, mentally suggested or passed in the vein like inherited diabetes, rolling in a thumb-driven chair. We bleed green for convenience fees, as phony as the bank duties, destined to disappear like so many deposits. We fill our closets with spiritual sweat, the stuff of us sacrificed for the check. We've transformed into sold-out logos returned from China. We want to change. Some of us ain't kinda. We want to see beyond depreciating blinders, tunneling our vision on forgeries bought like fool's gold. But hold on. Here's a thought that's funny. Maybe it's really the money falsifying our lives, one mockery at a time. And that's that first piece.
Wow, beautiful.
This next one is called No Last Word. What is taking this DAMN bus so long? Heels shift, and the right ankle sighs, momentarily relieved from supporting her brick-boned frame, held together by cemented disappointments. Her mind travels briefly past the line of wild pigeons settling high on buzzing wires. She'll redistribute her weight thrice before stepping past the curb into the bubble-gummed, ragged, worn rubble of decades-old asphalt. Salty about the necessary show of impatience endangering her shadow, ran over by a man her brother's age, driving something she wonders if he can fix. She exits the right lane just as boxes bound and brown bound by to destinations she doesn't know. How long she'll be waiting, wishing for a species change in a quick, unchristian pulse of witch think. Cigarette stink seeps between her and the distorted screen she's thrown up without her knowing. She doesn't know she diminishes decibels of things that she doesn't like to hear, like too much bass and the corn on a stick vendor's horn when she ain't in the mood. It's time to go past the chipped red paint again, between the gutter and the pink rubber buckets of brown feet immersed in soapy water. Watch out, dog. Her silent compassion could just as well be a bead of sweat between the beat-up toes, balancing her, barely missing getting struck by a truck self. She thinks of sitting somewhere that ain't filthy and frowns, figuring even the nail shop across the street wouldn't fit the bill. Being still is not an option for her stranded situation, seemingly destined to go on long beyond the pigeon's departure. Too tired to continue to buffer sound, she hears a familiar one approaching. A smile is also out of the question for someone as bored, shallow breathing, denied, cranky, and exclamatory as she feels rightly so. Nevertheless, the look she gave the pollution-laden bus door window was unexpectedly parted by the single pair of wet patches beneath the driver's eyes. Devoid of sound, she asked, "What's wrong?" Glad to be unheard, fearing the response would crush the well-made but very old pair of shoes between her soles and some boy's recently hawked mucus. Just terrible. Cuts with crystal clarity from the passenger who'd seen it all. 10 lead rooms, one inside the other, wouldn't have been enough to block the soft, trembling, recently weakened voice recounting events that had happened. Just as she was watching a stray dog and not oncoming traffic. Seems there was this woman, all of 15 years old, sitting in the last of 2 seats right before the back of the bus. This swollen, breasted thing was forgotten and forgetting where she was, moaning and bawling herself up. Pressing her sandaled, pedicured feet against the vinyl wood-grained wall, she clenched her own fist between her thighs and, in an increasing volume, cried. The driver eventually stopped asking the question her eyes told her the answer to. When the witness was the only other passenger left, the bus came to a complete stop. The driver made her way to the adult whose teenaged head hung like a damp, life-sized doll dress toward the scuffed and sticky floor. The center of her unbuttoned yet still too tight jeans and the skin of her forearms were beet red. Not even a mile away from the long, sterile strip of wax paper, this grown-up, child-faced tragedy had soaked through 2 medical-grade pads with what women are made of, and something some poor stranger would know was the tiniest ankle and foot no one would ever. And that's that piece.
Wow, MsTmusze, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm blown away. And I know that you have a project called Testing. Are those pieces on that project?
These pieces are not. That Testing came out in 2007, and it was a collection of work that I had written before then, and it's like one of the myriad of projects I've put out, and so I brought that with me today. I'm actually working on a project now called Heroic Justice, and one of the pieces I'll share with you today is on that, and I'm really excited about it because I'm going to the ASCAP I Make Music conference coming up this weekend, and am testing, if you will, my latest works out on the music industry to see if we can make a move there. So I'm really excited.
Now, if our audience wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that, and how would they find out about where you're going to be performing and your projects you're working on or projects you have available?
Yes.
How would they do that?
They can Google MsTmusze, MsTmusze, and also reach me at that spelling of my name at yahoo.com.
Very good, very good. Now, what do you have on the burner for like projects coming up besides the one you just mentioned? Any performances you have, features?
I have been performing and featuring quite a bit leading up to this expo. I have some dates kind of pending afterwards, but my attention has been so focused on this expo that has been like my big to-do for this quarter, if you will. I've been hosting an open mic on Sundays in Long Beach downtown. If anyone's in the area or want to travel there, it's at 517 Pine Avenue at the intersection of Pine and 5th. It's an open mic, and we do a soul music tribute each week.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to have to get down there.
Yes, ma'am.
And check that out, most
Absolutely.
definitely. And then I believe you have another piece that you would like to share with us.
Yes. Yes, I do. This one is tennis courts and swimming pools, and it's fairly short. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Save my mommy and my dad. Come back for me, I'll be last. Under all these stones, I'm glad to be me, to be breathing. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Save my neighbors and my friends. Come back for me, don't care when. Long as these lungs pump with air, I'll be me. I'll be breathing. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Save my mommy and my dad. Come back for me, I'll be last. Under all these stones, I'm glad to be me, to be breathing. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian. Tennis courts and swimming pools, somebody must think I'm some kind of fool. I'm Haitian. Say it, I am Haitian.
Woo!
So I'm getting
Thank you
signs and all
very
this other
much,
stuff.
MsTmusze, for
Okay.
that wonderful piece. And I see that you sang a little bit
A little bit,
in
yeah.
that piece.
Yes.
Tennis courts and swimming pools. Somebody must think I'm some kind of fool.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that whole
wonderful.
thing was, the story about the missionaries going down there to save the children after the earthquakes in Haiti. And, it was to save the children. There's reports about kidnapping and reports about the parents actually willing to give their children away for hopes of a better life, and then stories about the better life being advertised as one with tennis courts and swimming pools. And so that was the, inspiration to do that particular piece.
So sometimes it's not always spiritual. It can be political, it can be emotional, it can be all types of things.
I think that particular piece was all of it altogether, political, spiritual, and everything else. I mean, when people go through a tragedy and are in a state of crisis like that, I think it's important that we meet them where they are, and not negate everything that they have been up to that moment of crisis in an attempt to help them,
Absolutely.
Please deal with them as if, they were living a life before needing this help. Even though it seems like their life has been destroyed, it's still there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And having said that, we want to thank you very much for coming to the show, sharing your gift, and brightening the world.
Oh.
Thank you, MsTmusze.
Thank you.
This has been Indie Encounter, a journey into the world of the independent creators of art and artistic communication. I want to thank today's guest, MsTmusze, for sharing her poetic vision with us. If you want to find out more about today's guest, check her out at her website, msTmusze.art.officelive.com, or through the Leimert Park Poets on the web. Check out our website here at PasadenaCommunityNetwork.com and select the Arroyo channel. Thanks to our director, Lilia F. Gaspar, and crew for making the show possible. Thanks to all of you. We hope to see you here again when we embark on another Indie Encounter. Thank you so much. That was